Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the One Nation Gamers 2016 circuit. This is Open Tournament number 4, and we are about to go into the grand finals. My name's TJ. I am joined once again by Crip. And Crip, as you say, the villains have made it to the finals. The aggro decks are here. What have you thought of these two guys, Battle Frog and Lead Paint's play thus far in the broadcast today?
Fairly straightforward.
All that needs to be said. Fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these aggro decks so far in this tournament have just drawn quite well. Not too many complicated spots. I think Lead Paint probably encountered more difficult situations as Teray was trying to poop on his aggro parade by trying to play all these board clears and counter cards, and Lead Paint navigated that pretty well. But Battle Frog, I think, had a much easier time as his aggressive decks were just pinned up against slightly less aggressive decks, and usually that is a fairly one-sided match, as was the case.
Yeah, well, this time we'll get to see, a lot more decision making, hopefully, in some of these matchups. We're not trying to take anything away because there was a lot of decisions that were made that ended up winning these guys the matchups. Battle Frog, we sort of not criticized, but questioned the aggressively tapping early on. But that meant he had the quantity of cards to close out the game, and if he hadn't gotten those extra taps in earlier on in the game, he would have never drawn to that Leroy Jenkins to finish it off. Or something like Lead Paint, who during his aggro shaman, he decided to play aggressively onto the board, make sure that he was playing minions first over spells, and ignoring some creatures on the board at times to really find those ones with aggro shaman. So these guys definitely played well.
Yeah, they definitely have played well. I think shaman can be a very complicated deck, but it really is just based on your opponent and the circumstance. Sometimes when you're faced against a very aggressive player, you're faced with very difficult decisions because you have to use heavy removal. Like, we've seen like 2/1 minions being crackled because it would have guaranteed much more damage over time for the shaman. So there's a lot of like super difficult plays to make. But yeah, overall, I think we've seen some pretty straightforward games so far. But things should get pretty interesting as both of these players are playing decks that are about as aggressive as one another. So I can't really give it specifically to one player. The main difference in the lineups is the Druid versus the Paladin. The Paladin seems to be like a fairly standard Seeker Paladin. The Druid seems to be like a pretty standard Druid list. I'm not too sure how that will play out. I think just ignoring that matchup itself, the Druid will probably do worse against Zoo-like decks and aggro decks than a Paladin would. So I think the Paladin overall in this matchup would be more of an asset.
I tend to agree with you there on that point. So we'll have to see. It does come down to matchups just a little bit, but we'll definitely have to see how it's going to play out. This is also an interesting matchup because Battle Frog, as I said earlier, spends a lot of time in Twitch chat. And one of the streams he watches the most, and it's also a player he beat in the Open number 4, is Nostum, who recently finished second at the American Championship. And Lead Paint, of course, on Grand National Champions, GNC for short. Usually when Nostum streams, he's in a call with him and they're talking at the same time. So this is sort of like I don't want to say mentor versus mentee or fan versus popular guy, but it is that in a very small case. Another PO there. Wow.
Yeah. Well, this is a good card because I think it has to be used immediately. I mean, you just have to shut down this damage as fast as possible. You see, Battle Frog is not too happy with that result, but I believe there were at least 2 better results. I believe Abusive Sergeant and Soulfire would have both been better in that case.
Yeah.
Okay, really trying to crush the board of the Warlock. And there's a lot of cards that rely on there being multiple minions in play. And funny enough, that's exactly the set of cards Lead Paint has. Almost every card in his hand is a support card. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's so bad he might have to play a Gormok right now.
So many possibilities.
The most powerful play that he can make. The most stats that he can put on the board. He can try and either stop some damage and maybe set up a defender of Argus by playing the egg and the Voidwalker, but Battlefrog just run over it, and it might be too slow of a play to the point where
I actually think
that's the one turn that might change the game.
the Defender of Argus might not even be too bad of a play because of the way that this Warlock deck the Shaman deck works is the taunts are just not very relevant when you have only a few hit points left. They're only relevant at the start, and I think Argus has missed that window of opportunity.
Well, it blocks Doomhammer, which I think is the big thing. Like blocking Doomhammer hits and forcing the Shaman to take extra damage to get through with those Doomhammers is a big deal. But at the moment, I think Lead Paint's just taking way too much damage in the early game. Even without the Doomhammer, Battlefrog should be able to just push through his spells.
Oh, did get 4.
Will
but
it be
is he
enough?
dead? I think he's actually dead. I think Crackle Lava Burst can produce a lethal here. I think it's actually guaranteed.
It was
Even
guaranteed.
if this is for 3, I think it's 3 is exact lethal. And when you need 3, you get 6.
Yeah.
But the funny part is when you need 6, that's when you get 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a super quick win for Battlefrog, and that's the strength of a shaman, an aggro shaman that draws well. It just feels like no matter what it's up against, if an aggro shaman draws the nuts,
I mean,
it's gonna go nuts.
It's not even him. Actually, I think Lead Paint's last shaman also drew the nuts. I think from these two players, the 3 games that involved the shaman included 3 nut openers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Trog in every single one, followed up by a powerful overload spell.
Yeah, there was there was one where he turn 1 coined out Totem Golem, and then played Tunnel Trog, and then drew Feral Spirits.
Yeah,
which is like the dream. That's Craigasm worthy.
well, this is garbage druid hand right now. So it's looking pretty well for the Warlock. The Warlock's hand isn't great either, but it's certainly better than that.
It gets 10 times better with a Wild Growth, though. So we'll see if Battlefrog can channel his inner druid and pluck it off the top. That's not a Wild Growth.
That is similar quality to the rest of the hand. That is a past turn, and even though these cards are pretty, like almost all of those are valuable in this matchup, just because he's probably doing nothing for the first 2 turns of the game, means he's going to probably have to waste them in desperate situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even useful.
Not at all. It doesn't even feel good to cycle with it because you're
might
not
need
even going to find
to jug
anything
or something later, right?
Yeah, you do have plays for like all of your next turns. It's just at this point you're just giving them so much time.
You got to play the Imp Gang boss, but there is a question to where you play it. I kind of like the Imp Gang boss in the middle. I feel like the egg is the most likely target to get silenced, and the Imp Gang boss is actually the best target to hit with the Argus. I think you always want to put the best target for your Argus in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Well, my control tech is picked up, which can give Battlefrog a decent swing. It's just going to depend on what he takes. I think it's going to be pretty high impact. All these creatures are pretty weak. So.
Well, there's 2 weak ones, I guess, but you can Wrath the 0/2 if you want. No, there's no way to do that. Never mind. Oh my God, he's gonna do it! What?
I think he's going to cycle on the 1/1 here.
Like on 1/1, then. Yeah.
What's it going to be? Not the egg. He gets the Gormok.
That's very good.
Crackle for 6. Leroy's off the top.
All right. Well, he has that play, and then the other. Oh no, he's gonna miss a drop here. He should be playing the Haunted Creeper, right? Oh, I see. Okay, full respect.
Yeah.
I don't respect my aggro opponents as much as Lead Paint here.
Yeah, this gets blown out by Big Game Hunter, but we can see Battle Frog does not have a Big Game Hunter, so that Sea Giant's going to get in some work.
Yep. And I kind of wonder where the work begins. Like, I feel like a Belcher is probably better here. He just kills off 1/1s. It's not like you have a swipe. The reason he wants the Druid of the Claw is he wants to consider a clear with just Force of Nature next. That would feel pretty miserable, though.
Yeah, he hasn't taken much damage. You know, that's something to note. He does have a lot of time.
Yeah, but like
Giant's going to cut down on that time, and Leroy Power Roaming is going to cut down on that time too.
the Warlock has taken none as well, is the other aspect, right?
That's true.
Hmm. I wonder what the play is here. I think you would consider a Power Overwhelm on the 1/1 minion here. I think keeping the 8/8 healthy is pretty important. There's obviously no BGH, and it's obvious that Battle Frog has a bunch of junk. Like, if there was a good answer for this 8/8, you would have seen it already. Wow. Very aggressive attitude here.
Well, if you have Leroy Power Overwhelming as the last 2 cards in your deck, I'm not surprised with this line. And at the moment, I don't think Battle Frog has a way to live. Belcher, no, Belcher is. Druid of the Claw would have. Druid of the Claw, I think, would have. No, Druid of the Claw wouldn't have. He would have still had lethal with Druid of the Claw. If he Power Overwhelmings and then pushes through, he has 16 damage, so he'd be 2 off.
Right. 2 off.
Yeah, so Belcher was the only play that saved him. So it blocks the most damage, but it doesn't turn around and contest the board as much.
Mm-hmm.
He can't even play BGH here as a tempo play just because he would have to kill off his own Sea Giant. So not a very
bad
good
tempo
sequence to draw. Yeah.
And Flame Whip doesn't feel great either. But... Okay.
Still though, he's pushing damage.
No. I mean, that's the play, but that's not going to go anywhere. I don't believe there's any card here that stops lethal except the Noyatron. That looks good, but it's not quite good enough.
And Battle Frog's been getting some pretty fortunate things happening.
Enough.
Yeah. Other than his opening hand in this game, he's had some pretty clutch variants.
All right. Well, it is 1-1. Looks like there's not going to be a sweep between these guys here. Looking at the remaining decks, though, who are you favoring here? So far, Shamans have been insane in this tournament so far.
Well, Shaman can take wins off both these, and so can Secret Paladin. So I do like Lead Paint. But, you know, it's hard. All these matchups are really close. Like, if you look at every matchup individually, it's close to 50-50 as far as, like, favorites go. So this was one of the good outcomes for Battle Frog as far as opening decks went. Just because he sort of dodged the really poor matchups, and now he finds himself in a situation where he has a lot of 50.
Where there's the double challenger, but you're going first. Looks like he's keeping one. Is this proper play? I know you keep one if you go second. That's pretty obvious, but how often do you keep a challenger going first?
If you have like the best curve in the world, you would keep it going first. Maybe if I had...
It's pretty easy.
It's a really important card in this matchup specifically.
Mm-hmm.
You can't normally win with just your early game curve out because Druids have a lot of stabilization tools. You need that little bit of extra help. Holy moly.
That is a really good Druid start.
Oh yeah, because he's going to be able to coin out the second Paladin Shredder going in the next turn. This is a decent start for Lead Paint, though, because he does have plays to build his next couple turns, and competitive
No,
spirits is
actually,
decent.
he doesn't. Lead Paint needs something for his next turn. I think he's going to have to use the Juggler in conjunction with the Muster for Battle to keep up in this game, which
Yeah,
means he
well-
has no play next turn.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to Knife Juggler and Hero Power, and then Muster Hero Power, but it's a pretty weak play. Very beta play.
All right. Oh, competitive spirit's pretty good here. I guess he's just gonna have to do the Juggler. Not much of a choice.
Yep. He does have he can pop his own Creeper to get a few more juggles.
Oh, that's a really good outcome for Lead Paint. That card sucks.
It does, but that's not a good juggle outcome. I thought he was going to trade in
Gotta
first.
do it. Oh, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
They both went face.
Savage Roar.
I think Wrath Living Roots does almost
Yeah.
the same thing. But which resource would you rather give up? A Wrath and a Living Roots or a Savage Roar?
I think you should Wrath for one, unlike the dude here. Because the 4-1 is not going to survive this turn. You might as well just throw it into the 3-3.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, there's going to be a full board clear here. But will it be enough? Battlefrog's hand is pretty poor quality. Lotheb doesn't stand up well against a Mysterious Challenger. Does he pick up a turn 5 play? That's
pretty
awkward.
good. No, it's not. I like the Coghammer.
It's just not going to find play until turn 7 at the earliest.
Really? I was thinking just Coghammer there and attack the Trog.
Yeah, he could. Just not very, proactive.
Yeah.
It's good in a vacuum. And there's the Belcher. A turn later. A turn too late comes the Belcher. But he is going to trade off these 1/1s. Just because there's no competitive spirit anymore, since we saw from the first series that he only runs one. So there's no point in trying to keep those around. He's praying.
He's
like,
got a Wrath.
"Please,
He's got a
please."
Wrath to at least make it a 50-50.
Go on the Mysterious Challenger. Can Battlefrog prevail once again? And that face is not the face of someone who just won.
No, it is not.
Seems good. Lead Paint gives the seems good. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Lead Paint kind of knew what shenanigans is heading his way here.
Yeah. And so now Battlefrog's plays are terrible. His hand is atrocious.
Yeah, atrocious is definitely accurate, but I think you just go face here with 5. You got 2 Savage Roars.
Just hope you get it. He's still 2 mana away from being able to combo though. Even if he does pick up a Force of Nature, he still has to go through turn 7 and turn 8. Or he has to pick up an Innervate, but then he's still 2 turns away because he needs Force of Nature and Innervate. And this board is starting to get a little bit out of hand. And he also
mostly
does a
think-
Repentance.
The other challenger into the Tyrion is kind of out of hand.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Oh, okay.
I think he's just playing safe right now because he saw the attack to face, so he's like, the only way I lose here is to combo, and if he innervates out combo this turn, then I die.
Not very safe against Swipe.
Oh man, he's just gonna
Yeah.
pray.
You
Gonna keep
silence and Hero Power face, right?
Oh man,
I must sit.
And then Tyrion's gonna come down, and you're gonna feel miserable. This is the right play. I mean, you don't have a choice here.
yeah, you don't have a choice. It's
Oh,
such
he
a-
did. He killed a 6-1.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, I don't know if I like that. I mean, I guess that might work out a little bit better because with the other one, he's just completely screwed. But I'm thinking that
Put your faith in the
how do you ever win in this case?
Well played.
Well played.
Well
Yeah.
played.
And it looks like that is going to do it. Don't think Battle Frog can pick up anything. He can try and heal. Draw just inconsequential. Raven Idol!
I concede.
I don't know if he wants to give up that tech since he still has to find one with this deck. Not that it's a tech
Could
that you ever
could
play
he have
around.
stayed alive with a target dummy? I think
No,
he
he
was
couldn't
still
have.
dead.
Yeah, he was still dead. There was like 13 damage on board. He could have thrown 2 in and still had enough. So
Yeah.
that's Lead Paint though, taking the win with the Paladin. So now he's got 2 chances to find the nuts with
Mhm.
Shaman.
I mean, I feel like the nuts of the shaman is probably 1 in 3 games though, but he's also playing. Well, I think the warlock deck is pretty consistent because it is Zulok. That's kind of why it's good. But the druid deck is also quite inconsistent, so we'll have to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
The wild.
We'll see if Battle Frog can find that wild growth that has eluded him. for
Does
both
MC
of
Tech
the good
actually
matches.
make a difference in this matchup? I feel like it's always that card where, like, yay, you MC Tech, but then you realize you've taken too much damage in order to actually play the MC Tech that you're dead anyway to spells.
Yeah. I think you have to find early spells, and then I don't know. You got to get an innervate. Microsoft Tech is okay to just throw on the board on turn 3, just a contest.
Those are the nuts! Nuts alert!
That is the nuts!
Job's done.
Oh, but he's got the rats. The rats are going to counter the nuts.
Somebody called the nuts police.
Oh, but he's going with the second nuts here. He's going with Totem Golem once again from Lead Paint with the Trog in hand with the nuts. He goes with the Totem Golem first just to play around Wrath, and man, is it going to work?
I think this is the ideal draw, being in the coin for a aggro shaman, is coin Totem Golem into Tonal Trog into Feral Spirits, because it's the maximum amount of damage that you can put out, because you're putting the 3 damage out there. And picks up the Innervate, and he's going to Innervate Wrath the Totem Golem, but that means the Tonal Trog is going to go unanswered, and now it's Lead Paint knowing that both Wraths are gone. Not that he would play around them anyway, because you can't really afford to play around much of anything as an aggro shaman. But still, that's peace of mind, knowing that those are gone.
Yeah, but here we might actually see not Feral Spirit.
Yeah, Rockbiter Haunted Creeper might be better.
I do like that better. Next turn you can play the Feral Spirits along with Abusive Sergeant, which is also a very nice play. It's a huge reach for damage next turn.
Yeah,
And the Abusive finds a great target on the Haunted Creeper.
yeah, because
I like that so much more.
when are you going to ever deal the extra 1 damage, to the Microtroll Tech? It's going to take out both your Feral Spirits.
Yeah.
So, in order to protect those, Haunted Creeper also puts that, that 1 damage extra on the board where you can throw that in to protect your bigger stuff. It's a tough play to make because Tonal Trog into Feral Spirits is so powerful, but in this situation, I do like Rockbiter plus Haunted Creeper just a bit better.
Yeah. Battle Frog's not feeling it. He's like, damn. Well, I'm Druid. How much mana? 4. Look at my hand. 4 drop. Play it.
Boom.
Done.
He's on the green card plan.
Yeah.
You just play it if it's green.
Alright, well, you want Abusive here first. Your other card is not even a minion, so there's no card that's really going to punish you here except the Doomsayer. So I guess Battle Frog's looking for a Doomsayer. And no. Battle Frog is, of course, he has the best cards ever again. Of course.
Oh man, throws out the well played. And he draws combo again. That is brutal. And Battle Frog's just gonna watch his tournament life slip away. And he still has a chance though, if he rips a swipe. He does have a lot of heal with the Ancient of Floors to follow it up and combo to close out the game. It's just how much damage is he going to take in the time being, and we'll see what Frank's going to pick up. It's Fire Blast, Armor Up, Life Tap.
Sure.
Yeah, Life Tap for sure. Fire Blast, usually picked by Patron Warrior, but not very often by the Aggro Shaman.
This is about as big of a border as I've seen from an Aggro Shaman, by the way. That's like it. Doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. Well, they will block spells, but 10 damage
The
on
spells
board.
will just kill you the turn after.
Yeah. Just gives him an excuse to tap, and he picks up just about the best draw that he could have picked up. A creature to fill up his entire mana curve. Lead Paint is on fire.
Well, there's Swipe.
It's about a turn late.
Wait, is Swipe even the best card?
Well played.
I don't know.
Well played.
It would have been decent last turn because he could have cleared a little bit, but now he's just going to have to heal. But that is going to do it, I think. There's 7, 8, 9, 10. That's, yeah, way over lethal.
Yeah. This is... Oh, he's thinking about it. That's the BM think.
Yeah. He's avenging his teammate, Nostum, who fell in one of the later rounds to Battle Frog.
That's 6 damage, 6 attack, uncontested Tunnel Trog. How much damage did it do this game? Probably about 16 to 20, I would guess. Right? That's the range.
Yeah.
Made it
Quite a
6
bit.
that turn, 4 the turn before, 4 the turn before that. I think like 3 of the turn, so 17.
Yeah, it did a lot. It did a lot. But that's Lead Paint taking the series and taking the Open. So he's going to secure himself a lot of Geico points, 10. He's also going to go away with 500 buckaroos.
Mm-hmm. And he gets to qualify automatically to the feature tournament.
Yeah. Feature tournament number 3. If I'm correct. Just
there's a lot of them
here.
That's what's important.
There's 6 of them total across the circuit, or 5 of them total. 5 of them total with a $6,000 prize pool for each of them. So now, this is either 2 or 3.
We talked about the 3rd place match that has been going on while we've been casting the finals. The score is 1-1, and you might imagine, why is it 1-1 when we just finished the final? It's because our other 2 players who advanced to the final 4 here are more honest players. They're playing
villains,
slower decks and control decks, and decks that don't rely on drawing the nuts and winning on turn 5 and making your opponent's soul, miserable.
Otherwise known as the villains of Hearthstone. Taking away the fun, playing the unfun cards like Sludge Belcher and
Sludge Belcher and Aggro. Okay,
and Shield Maiden. So we actually are going to jump into that 3rd place match, I think, in just a sec.
They're at 1-1. We'll have a look at the classes probably a little bit intermittently. But from what I remember, it's the rogue player versus Teray, who's trying to play a very, very heavy control warrior.
Yeah.
Right?
Brady did have a Zoo Warlock, so that's one deck that he was playing that wasn't control. But yeah, we talked about earlier. Brady practiced with Chess Dude, one of the players who took top 4 in the America's